0.
This conference will now be
We
recorded.
have that discretion. Yeah, Mickey.
We have to check with
I
them.
think, was it Steve that said NA? I think that's a good idea. Because the figures, well, it's over that way, on that end of the table.
Yeah.
Um,
Susan, it's all the same.
It's just that the numbers aren't available. To say it's gonna be 0 means like there's not gonna be any number. It's just that they're not available.
I mean, I think
That
people
makes-
would know, but.
That makes more sense to me.
Yeah, and legally, we also will have to see, because if the school committee meets on Thursday and signs a budget proposal, we will probably be compelled to put it in as they propose it.
This.
And then we need to gather up the 5 towns again and say, did they really pull it together last minute and know what they're doing? Or are we gonna go to our towns and still ask for a no vote despite the school committees wanting to push it forward? So we're either gonna be working with the school committee to squash it for this town meeting or against them.
I mean, I
Or-
feel like if it's not clear what that number represents,
Don't put it in.
even if we put it in, I'm gonna recommend that the town give it a thumbs down.
Yeah.
Because I'm not willing to vote. I know I personally am not voting for taking a vote, and I don't see how the voters, like, they could do anything.
I think the cover letter is very important, to put on top of the warrant.
That
That
was
really
great last year.
explains
I
it
thought that was excellent.
simply and clearly, so people don't miss it, maybe bold letters, bold, big, words.
At the top, the
At the
first
top,
paragraph, don't
right.
wait, don't bury it.
Line, whatever is, or these lines are blank, or these lines have NA in it, or question marks in it, might be another, a question mark might work.
Confusion.
Because
Good.
we don't
Blank
know
equals
what
good.
these numbers are gonna be, and we don't know what they represent, and what's being cut, and we might have a choice. And we just can't give them a guess.
One other thing on the budget. Did anyone else have anything else in the budget they want to address?
We're including, Southern Berkshire ambulance amount that they've assessed us.
It was in the budget.
It's in the special articles.
It's a special article, okay. But we're not doing anything with the other Otis, or there's no other change in that. We're still assuming we're staying with Southern Berkshire.
So far as I know, we do have a meeting with Otis on Thursday morning at 10, although they didn't actually say what the meeting was about, so, I mean, I can
It's at
guess.
the 11th hour,
And I think it's a bit close to the wire for us to make a plan, even if we go forward with something, I doubt it'll be as of July 1st, but who knows? I don't even know what they're gonna
yeah.
bring to the table, so.
Oh, it was this board that wanted that meeting, so.
But I asked for the meeting like
So,
last November, and, I'm glad they're coming. I'm not upset that they're coming. It's hard to know what
I
they
think
are
we
thinking.
need to bring it forward.
Yeah.
Because they don't know either, so.
Okay,
we need
that's
to-
fair.
They're, on their level, they're green lighted this, they're ready to go, so.
Okay.
I don't understand, I talked to the guy who got this name, I can't remember.
Garrett?
Gary.
Mhm.
Anyway, he said their budget is 4 FTEs, fire and ambulance. And that's apparently what they currently have now since January. So there's no increase.
Plus per diems. They do
And
have a
just, I have a hard time imagining doing,
7 days a week.
24/7 ambulance with 4 people. He said plus per diems, but I mean, I don't know. And he also told me, last year they reduced their tax rate pretty dramatically,
Mhm.
and they're gonna reduce it again. They're not spending money, that's the only way I know.
I thought he told me there were 30 full-time employees in Otis.
They have a lot
think so.
more
I got a
property.
copy of
I
the
was
book.
told they were going to 5 full-timers.
Not specific to the fire department, but I just
Yeah,
said, Garrett,
yeah.
how many full-time employees do you have in Otis? And I couldn't swear he said something like 30, and I said,
Yeah, but they share a
How?
police chief with Beckett, right? I mean, it's,
But they still have officers.
yeah, I know, but it's.
So
not-
30 full timers?
That
Boy.
seems high.
So maybe he wasn't the best source.
No, but I can tell you, I have a copy of the budget for this year, and there's not 30 FTEs in there.
Could have misremembered
But
it
they
as
do
well.
have a lot more property than Monterey to tax, so
Yeah.
that could,
They have property, but they also have less roads, so. Wow, something,
It's,
traffic is,
I find it confusing with a lot of, having looked through a lot of other towns' warrants, a lot of times there's bundled things that you don't expect, or you're looking in the main budget and what you really needed was in the special articles, like, we did that last year, but for instance, Agronaught, the chief was in the main part of the warrant, but the additional firefighters for this is last year were in a special article. I can't complain, we did that too, but it can be hard to work out from just an overall budget line, what that represents as positions, it's not always obvious. At least not to me.
on the Schedule A, which all towns fill out, explaining their expenditures, the special articles get added to the individual department, so it's a little bit, nobody files a schedule, there's several towns have not yet filed their Schedule A. So it's not available from the state information.
But even if you had a pool number, you wouldn't necessarily know what that means, is that
Yeah,
the operating costs, is
Oh, yeah.
that salaries, is that?
yeah, so, for all the effort they put into uniform reporting by towns, I'm pretty disappointed this year. I've been trying to do some analysis by towns, and
It's really hard.
it's really hard. It's not up to date, and they're not challenging the town. They send letters to the town,
but they don't do it.
and, we're not gonna cut off your pink sheets, but I forget what the sheets are called.
Cherry sheets? Cherry sheets, yeah.
So to turn to the special articles here, with everything as it's currently listed, we have about 35,000 in free cash.
Yep.
And we have a $10,000 contribution to stabilization fund, which is very small.
Yes.
And so I would recommend that we either increase it to 25,000 or get rid of it.
I mean, I
And-
don't think we can take remaining unused free cash down to, like, 25,000 would be down to 20.
We like to leave it, but the thing is, at the end of the day, even $35,000 isn't gonna do much for you. And it's only stays certified till June 30th, and we need to go to town meeting to use it.
But you
So,
You can't use anything but certified cash, free cash. You can't use uncertified free cash in the future.
so my point being, I think what Susan's saying is, as we've always done, we try to leave about 30 or 40 in there. And we do it in case anything comes up between the first Saturday in May and June 30th.
Like the special town meeting for the schools budget?
Yeah.
You mean like that?
But I don't think we're gonna pay a $2 million assessment out of 30,000 in free cash.
No, but you know what we could end up doing? Paying the deficit for FY 26.
So, but if it gets too big, we will have to dip into stabilization. And if we put money into stabilization,
We can take it back out.
we can take it back out.
Okay.
So that's all, and
But your budget wise, you're just talking about budget.
I'm saying we have an article to put $10,000 in stabilization, which is,
Not very much.
it was basically a placeholder. What's our stabilization at, Roger? It said the bottom of the sheet here.
712,000.
It's 712,000,
Probably
so,
a little bit more than that now because of interest.
But this is a lucky year. We had no capital expenditures. Lucky, for us, right? But we know that's not gonna hold. We already have a long list of equipment that's gonna be replaced, so stabilization is pretty important. We shouldn't overlook funding it, even though we're not spending any capital items this year. I hate to, the whole point of stabilization is to have a constant inflow.
what we should probably do next year, because the budget will all be settled down, is we should put a contribution to the stabilization fund in the operating budget.
Regularly, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it.
What's regularly by you?
No, we should put it as a line item in the operating budget.
Yeah.
Start with 50,000, start with 25,000, and then increase or decrease, but that guarantees that you actually have a steady inflow. all that said, my inclination now, and if we're not for it, I'll drop it, but my inclination now is to put a 25,000 of free cash into it, which would leave us with only 20,000 of free cash.
I'm gonna throw one other thing right out there too, is that we put 30 in the, what is it, the fund that the finance committee has,
Reserve fund.
reserve fund. I'm worried about fuel. I mean, I know that the administration is like, hey, this is a temporary blip, it'll absolutely come right back down, like, it'll only be 4 days or whatever, but,
Probably was only gonna be a few days.
And my last fuel, I believe, was $5 a gallon.
Yeah, mine went up $1 a gallon.
so, and I know we're getting some surcharges already coming through from deliveries. So I don't know, like, I'm not trying to rain on your parade, because on the one hand, I agree with you, like, I totally agree with you. At the same time, I'm like, but, I'm just worried about the downstream potential unforeseen effects.
Well, if we feel like it's really good to have free cash, then we should probably not even put that 10 into stabilization. And then another small little piece of the puzzle is we could make the transportation a line item in the operating budget, which I thought at one point we considered.
The COA transportation budget?
Yes, because I think it will basically be
We
an
have talked about
operating
that.
expense.
We had talked.
So those are the last little pieces of the puzzle here. And I think there's good reason to leave free cash and I don't,
And
if
you're right,
there's
if it's
anyone who
only like-
wants to leave it at 10,000,
If it's only, if we have to use it by June 30th, then I get your point, like, but I am worried about what the deficit from FY 26 is gonna be from the schools, I'm worried about, and of course, the fuel could roll over downstream, it may not show that intensely between now and the end of June, but
I mean, at that point, I start to wonder, should we put it almost all in stabilization?
But
And
we'd
then
have to
if we
talk
need to go
special
to town meeting.
I see what you're
You
saying.
have to go to special, the fact of the matter is, you gotta go to special town meeting for either. Stabilization takes 2/3 to use. But, you have to, it's not like one is easily accessible by a finance committee meeting and the other one you have to call a town meeting. You have to call a town meeting for either. But the difference would be next year when our free cash gets certified, we'd have less and there'd be more in the stabilization account, so, yeah, I said my 2 cents.
Anybody else? You all look shell shocked.
Well, I kind of agree with the 10,000 there doesn't, I mean, it's a lot of money for us individually, but for a $6 million budget, it's not a lot.
If we think transportation is gonna be an ongoing expense, I'm putting it into the,
Reserve,
pardon?
put it into.
No, put it into the line item budget, the regular budget. Take it out of here and put it in there. I mean, it means we have to raise our appropriate, I recognize, but if we think it's gonna be an ongoing expense, and we did support it last year, didn't we?
This is the first year that we're supporting it in this way, I believe.
Okay,
Yep, it is.
we supported the COA, but not specifically that.
Yeah, it's been state money, it's been pretty well covered by some of the council on aging, but they've been using every single dollar.
Dollar, right.
So this was hoping to give them some relief on their budgets and on their grants that they get to use for more things more directly through the council on aging.
I mean, do we think that it's likely to be an ongoing expense if we wanna support
I
transportation?
think it's definitely gonna be an ongoing
Expense.
expense, yeah, I definitely think so. The council on aging is they're very much in favor of transportation through the South County Connect and even pushing the new one that's the BRTA. I don't know how long that one will last though, that's all funded only through the end of June for the free rides that they have, that they're offering right now. So, but they, on their last conversation, a lot of the dollars now are being used for people to ride that weren't necessarily part of the original concept for the Council on Aging providing rides, which was seniors and disabled. It's more than that now, so I think it's pushing them on their budget and what they would like to offer.
It's a big jump.
Yeah.
Other finance committee members, thoughts?
Not that we're putting you on the spot or anything,
No,
but.
no, I'm somewhat ambivalent because it's really unknown, it's one question. I like leaving money in stabilization, I'm not so sure we have to increase it beyond the 10 months or keep funding.
The 10 was a placeholder though. It
Yeah.
never was intended to be 10.
We'd always hoped it to be more, but didn't seem that.
So how much of that 700 is accounted for, as Steve was saying? I may have missed that.
Accounted for.
The
Well,
712?
Yeah, like in terms of what we expect that we might need to spend it on.
I don't think that there's anything in particular.
Because I thought Steve said there's stuff coming up.
Oh, well,
There's
it's
capital,
it's
there's
more
parts
just
that
like
come
a,
in a couple of year or year and a half.
yeah, it's more just like a savings of, like if you need it in an emergency. for
Right,
something.
but we don't have,
Every so often, we've used it to buy vehicles, right? We've used it to buy vehicles. We've used free
And right
cash
for
and
large
stabilization.
capital expenditures, so we could, offset the total cost of the fire.
Stabilization.
but we have nothing that we expect we're gonna be using it for.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
The stabilization
When was the last
is
time we
for
used
capital
stabilization?
purchases.
Year or
I
two
think
ago.
it can be used for income purposes. We want it for.
And before that, I feel like,
Oh, I don't know, I think
no,
stabilization.
free
is for
cash that
capital
was put
items
against
only.
the.
Do we primarily use the stabilization for capital?
I wouldn't anticipate it. I wouldn't anticipate using it for really anything else.
Well, I thought that was the premise on which it was established. Within the last 25 years, wasn't it? That it was to begin to do a better job of planning for capital expenditures and.
So if we put $50,000 in it every year, we could buy some of the plow trucks and some of the cruisers out of it. And that would work well, but instead we often have free cash or take out debt. We just haven't built it into our routine
Planning.
of things, so. But without putting it in the operating budget, I think too many years will end up like this one where it's the last thing to look at and there's not a lot of money to go around and. I would be a strong advocate if things were different and we had a clue what the $2 million school budget was gonna be, of putting it right in the operating budget, but. Not this year.
But if we're gonna have a special meeting, school budget, then wouldn't we at that time also have like the next item on the warrant, be where we're getting the money to pay for that?
It will be raise and appropriate undoubtedly, yeah. This could be $2 million.
So there's a couple of questions on the table where I want to make sure. One, we were talking about the transportation for senior citizens, whether we should put that in the operating budget.
Yeah.
Which isn't just senior citizens anymore,
Similar
which is
to
why. it's
everybody,
gonna be-
that's why we're
yeah.
talking about it. I put it as a line item in the budget.
I would agree.
I like that too.
Yeah, because the chances are it will continue, so we'll do it year over year.
Do you agree, Roger and Jeff, with putting that in the
Yeah.
operating budget? Okay.
See, the problem is, I'm always, the problem with special articles is that they're special for a reason. And we do it year after year after year, which for a while, we were doing that a lot. And I think we pretty much, thanks to you guys, I think we eliminated a lot of that.
So that helps, at least for this part of what we're doing, so Roger, we can zero that out for now.
I'll go through and, because I did mention this to the accountants, and I think we'll end up having like just a transportation line item, not specific to a department, but make it its own, effectively department, kind of like we
Put it
do.
under the select board budget.
Yeah, right. Kind of like we do fuel and those sorts of things.
So now,
And public lighting.
if we put stabilization up to 25, would that be this?
28.
I can live with that. Did you ever hear back about the renewable energy working group?
Peter Ian.
Right, but he said he was gonna get you a number.
Yeah, no, he was gonna write an article and he did,
Okay.
and, I'll find it here for you.
Is he optimistic? He was optimistic, but it's probably no question.
Oh, you weren't here, Frank,
Yeah,
I'm sorry about that. So the way he was explaining it, it's not just about the test development on the cap landfill, but actually, he did think, at least that it was still moving.
He
They're
did
still
seem to think
negotiating
that, yeah.
with National Grid. And that it seems like Gould Farm is moving forward.
oh, really?
They haven't backed out of their development, which is not necessary, but very helpful toward the town's development.
I mean, I think one of the key difficulties is gonna be that they're trying to negotiate with National Grid to see how much of the power National Grid will actually take. Because I guess, we have a, how shall I put it, inferior infrastructure.
Yeah.
And it
well,
can't
the whole-
necessarily, we keep increasing demand, but we didn't fix the grid, so we can't produce the demand that we need.
Yeah, he said to run three-phase wire cost them $1 million a mile.
Yeah, it's $1 million a mile.
And that's like,
And that doesn't even cover the transformer.
So the article, as we have it drafted now, without, forget the legalese because it's not necessarily correct, but the substance. To transfer from free cash and appropriate the sum of 10,000 or any other sum to fund consultants to aid the ongoing efforts of the Renewable Energy Working Group to develop sources of clean energy, reduce dependence on fossil fuels, and reduce overall energy use in the town of Monterey.
Okay.
wasn't that some kind of a state? Or you're not stating that there was some kind of idea of becoming a.
Green communities,
town or
be green communities.
Yeah, wasn't that the objective of doing this?
Yeah, some of it is, yeah.
But that's not mentioned there, right?
Don't
I
worry.
don't know how
It
you-
wasn't, it's not, from having Peter in last week, it's not gonna cost us money to become a green community.
And then
At least in terms of the application, it will eventually entail projects,
But there's also funding available for the projects.
is there any opposition to increasing stabilization contribution to 25,000?
I don't have any, I think I'm fine with that.
Okay, then that motion carries by unanimous consent.
I would like to make sure that stabilization is for capital expenditures.
We never used it for anything else.
I
Yeah.
know, but when it was set up, there was a special article on the town warrant to authorize it. I believe that's the way it was presented. And I know the state has laws about stabilization funds. We have more than one stabilization fund.
We
have one
used
for
to.
health insurance.
So the health insurance stabilization fund, for retirees, is actually been converted into a trust fund. So we got rid of the stabilization fund and the trust fund just lets us invest it, which we just started doing. And there are two other special use stabilization funds, one for the fire department and one for bridges and roads and culverts, but we don't use them anymore.
Didn't we actually combine them? and do away with them?
Yeah, they're in the general stabilization fund now. So the
they were
only,
specifically
I'm
tagged.
troubled
in the
about this
document.
concept of general stabilization, because it almost feels like, oh, the budget's short. Let's take it from stabilization.
But we
It's
don't
not like a kiddie.
do that. We don't do that.
It's not a rainy day fund. I just want to make sure that it's understood, because, oh,
Okay,
yeah,
I always
understand.
thought it was capital.
Yeah, no, we haven't done that and we're not proposing doing that, and I don't know legally what the boundaries are, but we're not proposing doing that. And we haven't.
Now, I just want to make sure there's no assumption out there that it is a rainy day fund, because it's, as I recall, it's.
Well, So, I don't know, Steve, because let's say the school came and said, we need $200,000 from, just to cover last year, there was a deficit. Could we use the stabilization? I think so, but I don't know for sure.
I think, as I read it, you can use a stabilization fund for any legitimate municipal purpose,
If you get the vote.
if you get the vote. You can't just say, we're
You
using it,
need 2/3, right?
and you need, I have it here, 2/3 vote is required to appropriate from this fund. A majority vote is necessary to put it into the fund, 2/3 to take it out of the fund for stabilization. They are considered rainy day funds, but they're for legitimate town purposes. It's not a budget. It's not like an ongoing budget item that you just say, well, we're gonna short our budget by 50 grand and then every year add, take that from the stabilization.
So it wasn't, the parameters were not put on it. So you thought that there were other parameters that were put on
Yeah,
it?
in my memory, it was sold to the town as an equipment savings account.
But you're not sure that.
You can also have multiple stabilization funds, from what I understand.
And we did.
And you can have them labeled.
I
This
mean,
is
I actually.
for capital equipment. You could take 700 and say this is all for capital equipment.
Because I support your idea, I just.
Well, yeah, I mean,
But it could be restricted to that.
yeah, I don't wanna do any more restriction than what the voters agreed, that's all, but it seems to me that, from my memory, that it's,
I mean, it's Mass General Law, and it very clearly lays out, there's the two types. One is a general purpose stabilization fund, which this is, and then there's a special purpose stabilization fund, of which we had 3 that I'm aware of, and we now have none. But for general purpose, I don't think there's a lot of limitations. Special purpose, maybe so, if you built up $300,000 for retiree benefit payments, and then we said, we wanna build a new town hall, or that might be different, but this is general purpose.
Could one be set up for the purpose that you thought?
yeah, but I don't know where we get the money at this point.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
But I mean,
Well, the one thing-
it is possible to do.
I was like mentioned earlier, Justin mentioned that we found out that it's actually more efficient to borrow money than to pay cash. I know it's counterintuitive, but you got to remember that we're borrowing through a tax exempt pool set up with a group purchasing agreement, so we can borrow relatively inexpensively. And so going through the pain of setting aside from our operating taxes, to set aside money to actually being able to pay it over time, it has less of a budget impact. So paying, I believe, I'm a believer in debt for that. I've mentioned that here before. You may not have heard my lecture of last year. But I feel there's things that make sense, and it's long-term assets make sense to be financed on the long term.
Where does that leave us?
We're gonna move it on to others.
Yeah, operating.
Yeah, what did we do with the fire, the lease for the fire, the building?
Did you guys ever have a meeting of the company? Pardon?
Tomorrow night.
I have to tell you, Sean, that's disappointing considering I brought it up to Chris in the first week of January.
Now you're gonna say anything.
Well, you can say.
We're not
whatever you
gonna
wanna
agree
say.
with, we're not gonna agree with each other, so.
Pardon me?
We're not gonna agree with each other, so.
Yeah. Oh, it speaks volumes about it, but anyway, live on.
You just love poking us, don't you?
Okay,
Okay.
tell me about, how about the
Okay.
support I've given you in the last 4 years? Okay, you wanna talk about that? Because I came to you the first week in January with a genuine concern, and we're 3 months later and you're saying, no, we're having a meeting? I mean, is that really fair to me? I brought it up.
If you don't want me to be president, which you don't,
I don't care who's president of the fire company, I just want
we
somebody
have to make sure the right people are in the area to do this. So tomorrow night is the first night to do this.
since January. Wow.
There are two other items that are still yellow besides the school. Are we still considering changing those, the Concom agent wages and the bench monitor wages?
I did get an email, I think they have found somebody, I don't know what rate they have, they're talking about. So I have to, I just got an email this afternoon about it, I'll have to reply back and I can come up with a number once we hear from them.
What was the process they had to use last time because it turned out we're not the hiring agency, right?
Yeah. The Concom hires.
The Concom hires, do they, and it's just them?
We don't appoint?
Nope.
Okay, I'll talk to them.
I thought I remembered that.
So that's at 35 an hour.
Yeah, that's the high end, 35.
I'd be hard pressed to go lower than that, because even if you find someone that deserves less pay, they probably need more hours.
Yeah.
So it has been a thorn in our side for as long as I've been involved in one way or another. We've had some good people do it. We've had some situations that weren't as great, but no matter who's doing it, there's always been a complaint that it's underfunded and not enough hours available. And I think it's money well spent. It's been a headache for 5 years.
Yeah.
I'll email them, reach out to them, because they said they had a candidate they're interested in.
So essentially, we should leave the number that number, because it may need more hours even if it's a lower rate.
At the lower,
Yeah,
at the
okay.
lower rate, which I think on here is 25, it's, if you divide that, it works out to over 10 hours a week.
And I don't wanna say, because I don't know that I remember accurately, but I know that from overhearing the candidate they were talking about, he doesn't have Concom agent experience, but he's quite skilled. And he has a pretty good background, so I'm pretty sure they're not gonna wanna do the low end. Should we just take the yellow off it, or are we leaving it yellow till they
Well,
offer him a particular number?
Why don't we leave it yellow in the off chance that
It comes down.
it comes down, but I would kind of be hard pressed to do that.
And then,
So the beach monitor, we close to level funded last year, we threw them a couple more hours per week, 3 more hours per week. That I think we had all agreed on.
Yeah, you just multiply it times 12, I think is what we did, right?
7 hours, 7 days, 12 weeks.
It was,
But it's 21 hours per week times, what's the wage, Roger?
let's see.
Oh, I see, 7 times 7 is not right, 7 times 3.
We were gonna do,
26.
so 2120.
21.
For the hour.
It comes out on my calculator, 5,342.
That's what it was before.
And that's 7 hours, 3 days,
Yeah.
12 weeks, at the rate you just said, Julie?
Yeah.
21, whatever, okay.
It's a big jump, almost 40%, only $1,500, but it is less than half of what they requested.
And it's like a COLA increase, but more hours. That's right.
Yeah. And I think Roger and I had spoken briefly last week about figuring out which specific days would be worked. And then it might change that number slightly, but I would be in favor of not going and doing that math because it might leave them a little bit more
Yeah.
flexibility. Because they may not want to set it up as we talked about. They may wanna do 3 hours a day, 7 days a week or something.
So just so you see, I added, I don't have a line item yet for it. It's gonna take me a little bit to talk to accounting. But that's the $8,000 from transportation.
Okay,
Okay.
I put it in there, added it to that,
just so we can see what it
so you can see what it does to the percentage. And if
Or-
what we can see actually, if I go like this, without it, it's 8.58, and with it, it's 8.71.
I think like Steve said, it's really the right, and Susan said, and Steve said, it's just the right thing to do.
Yeah.
With an operating expense that you know is gonna come back year after year.
Yeah, how many years has it been going on? A long time, right?
They've been supporting it, but not, but
Yeah, with
through
the
state
budget.
money, yeah.
Yeah, they've been using the state money, their state money for.
Yeah.
And at one time it was just elderly, and now it's no longer, it's a little broader population being served.
Earlier this afternoon, I downloaded this sheet, what it was, like at 4:30 or something, 4 o'clock. And I subtracted out of column F, the protection increase, the education increase, and the miscellaneous increase. Because those had the biggest items. And those accounted, those three lines or areas accounted for 81% of the ask of the increase.
So wait, protection,
Protection, education, and miscellaneous.
And those are just the increases you did, so.
I just did the increase, so those accounted for 81% of the total increase. The balance of 100,000, essentially 100,000, the balance of so that was 424,000 almost. The balance of the 100,000, if you put that over the 26 approved total, you get 2%. So one way of thinking about this, and it may actually be a tiny bit less than 2%.
And that's including COLA at 2.8% for all the salary lines.
So one way of thinking about this is we've not done a bad job on all the rest. The rest of it, you know, that we need to keep that in I was thinking, gee, we need to keep that in perspective because that's not irrelevant. It's actually 1.64%. So it's under 2%, just a little bit over 1.5%. If you say, gee, taking those items out, where are we on everything else? That looks pretty good to me, on the everything else part. But
What are the three things again?
protection,
So that includes police and
Yeah.
that's the whole,
public safety, I think. It's
right,
I think it's called, yeah, go up a little bit more.
It's, they call it, it's,
protection, persons and property.
yeah.
So I
So you
just,
took that, you
That's
took the
one.
whole bunch.
so that was 195 and change, 196.
And what's the other two?
Education,
Which
We
is,
have no idea.
which was, yeah, it
well,
was,
the
it
increase
was held
theoretically
at
is
79 or
80.
something like that, is what it was.
Yeah.
The difference
Theoretically,
theoretically, and miscellaneous, which was 149,000. Which primarily is what? It's ambulance and,
retirement and health
Retirement and
insurance.
health
The
insurance.
ambulance is in
Oh, that-
special.
I'm sorry, the Berkshire County Retirement.
Retirement, health
Right.
insurance are the main drivers.
So we've got, you know, these big ticket items in different places of the budget, which kind of account for 81% of the increase. And all the rest of it, that's 81% of the increases. And then the balance of $100,000 going against 26 is 1.64% increase. which I feel really good about. But it's like saying, you know, our heating costs didn't go up all that much, but we got killed on something else. I mean, you know.
Like food cost trouble.
Under culture and recreation, Roger, you got a formula that starts out on 11, it's gotta start on 10. Which one's one up above it, where my cursor is, the pink one. The pink JM. Down, like, down about 5
Down,
rows.
all the way down to the
Oh.
subtotal.
Where's it?
It's gotta be F110 to F120.
How do you see that? Because all I get is Parks Lawn Maintenance up here. Oh, because I'm on the right, okay. 110 to 110.
Oh,
Yeah, we're on Parks Lawn.
Right, yeah. So even. Well, that makes a lot more sense to me. Unfortunately, it also, oh, I guess that was just an individual deal. Okay,
Yeah, it's just, it's just a subtotal.
yeah.
But I was looking at it.
Like, how could it go
Wow.
down? Thank you for catching that, because I was like, what? I guess I'm missing something.
So one year, I was going over the, this was 2024, must have been, or 2023. I was a penny off, I couldn't find that penny,
I know.
and it ended up being $30,000.
What?
Because where debt is, we had, that was the year we separated out principal and interest.
Right,
And when you add a row, depending on how you do it, sometimes it auto populates into all your formulas and
oh
sometimes
God,
it
it
doesn't.
doesn't.
So that first principal payment at the top of debt service had not added in and we would have not had the money to pay. But it was all because I couldn't match up a penny.
That you
But
found
the, but
it.
the penny didn't match up still, it was still off.
Yeah, no, so the pennies, sometimes one or two pennies,
Yeah.
because what happens in these Excel things is you'll be 0.1249 or whatever, and we'll round up to 0.13.
Yeah,
That will happen a bunch of times and throw you off by a penny, but sometimes it leads you to something.
yeah, I missed it. Good for you for hunting the penny.
That's the first rule in accounting, you don't balance, you don't know, it could be 10,000 one way and 9,000, you don't know. And then it drives you crazy.
Oh, it does, yeah, no.
Because math is math, it's supposed to work.
It is. And yet-
Round it down.
Hmm. So,
So that's it, other than the school.
I read the letter, I'm okay with it. I think that leaves us with needing to come up with what we're gonna say in the cover letter and what topics in particular, we think we need to address.
And also, could we, if we didn't already, and we have time and everyone's willing to stay, could we talk about when we're doing hearings or public meetings, if we haven't already?
I think it's great, I think.
And talk about what will be in the cover letter.
What do you wanna do first?
Let's schedule our hearings, I guess, because that shouldn't take too long.
I don't think so. So I did reserve the library for Saturday, April 18th from 1 to 3 to talk about the fire department. And Steve,
I registered for April 30th.
On the way, the 18th.
The 30th, you said?
April 30, from
This is
6 to
Thursday.
8 PM,
6 or 6:30?
Susan, what time was yours on the 18th?
1 to 3.
What's the other meeting in the morning?
Housing,
Housing, yeah.
Which is, at what time?
I think they're 9 to 11, but let me
Did you
check.
get a confirmation letter from the library when you do that?
I get an email, I can't speak for others. I get it, I have an email.
Oh, that's smart, make sure it went through.
So just to remind people, I'll be in Canada the 18th, so I won't be here. For that meeting.
I'm sorry, Steve, but could you please just say the time,
April 30th, 6:30 to 8,
6:30 to 8
that's a Thursday.
at the library?
Library, yeah.
And that is the finance committee budget hearing?
On the 23rd, did you say?
30th.
So we have the 18th. and the
Oh, I can
30th.
be there. Look at that.
What?
April 30th.
somebody bring me cake, because it's my birthday.
Oh, okay. You want ice cream too?
Yeah, it works.
Oh, for Pete's sake, I know they have a,
Ooh, we didn't ever talk about if we're gonna do sandwiches at town.
Sort of, they used to do that. They used to have a bottle at the town meeting, I know that. That's how it told me.
Really?
That was at the church, I mean, it was kind of a potluck, go back up.
like a calendar, we
You
try to find
remember
the
that?
calendar.
I was a little
Obviously,
bit
I'm
before
having a-
my
That was still before your time?
Just a little bit.
The question on this letter, you don't want to put a date that you want to defer a final budget.
Oh, so here's another problem with the school budget. There's a very real possibility, Roger may know more about this than me. If they really can't get a budget together, 112.
So the state comes in and they set a budget for a monthly budget. I'm not quite sure where the money's come from, but they set a monthly budget of 1/12. They just go month by month.
So there's,
So, yeah.
there's a non-zero chance, whether we ask them to defer it or not, whether they defer it or not. If we go to town meeting and gets voted no, or if they don't get a budget to bring to town meeting, I think June 30th.
Yeah.
After that, it would go into the state, and some people on the call were saying maybe that would be a good thing.
Well, I'll tell you, did they ever hire a business manager? I mean,
It's in the upcoming budget,
it's in there.
because
They laid a dollar
the
short.
business manager was the previous superintendent, I believe.
No, the superintendent, they were using, last year they were
They're using
using
her license.
a vice president or vice principal or something was doing
She
it.
was supposedly training.
I know, trying to-
All right.
How did that work out?
Yeah, so just so you know,
Well, that's,
I did
okay, so
finally
I
get
see
the
why you
calendar.
didn't put a date in there because the end of
Well,
June.
also, we don't want to rush them, because that's how we're in the mess we're in now.
I know.
I don't wanna say we need a budget by April 30th,
June 15th.
because I don't want this is
That's 2 months.
the mess that we're in is, they decided to rush the process to try to get something across the finish line instead of just doing it right.
No,
And that's why we're asking now to defer, so they can start actually doing the real work of figuring it out. So I don't wanna rush them.
So it's under the Commissioner of Elementary and Secondary Education. If a regional school, it says specifically that a regional school district fails to pass a budget by July 1, a 1/12 budget is initiated. The Commissioner of Elementary and Secondary Education certifies an interim monthly budget, typically 1/12 of the previous year's total budget, allowing the district to continue operations, pay staff, and remain open until a new budget is approved or until December 1st.
It's 1/12 of the previous year's budget.
Yeah, the commissioner certifies an amount deemed sufficient, usually equal to 1/12 of the previous fiscal year's total operating budget.
usually it said, right?
But it will also be summer, so it's
Yeah.
not, it wouldn't be,
Right.
as much of an emergency should we be mid-year and it cause a lot
Well,
more
the
chaos.
school wants half, don't they get half the budget in July? Didn't they get half the appropriation in July?
It's, I can't remember.
It might be
Assessments,
quarterly.
It might be quarterly.
I think it's quarterly,
Yeah,
Steve,
it's
but
quarterly.
the fact of the matter is, if they don't give us a budget, that is not how the assessment will work.
And you can't give them anything because you don't have an appropriation.
Well, it sounds like we go into this 1/12 process.
And then wait for them to come up with a budget.
The state will expect us to cough up.
That I'm not aware of.
We're also not really hoping that this happens.
We're hoping it doesn't. So, I can in fact answer if the library thinks various people are having meetings, and the planning board and affordable housing board are having a public forum at 9 AM on the 18th of April, Saturday. Fire department briefing is on the 18th at 1 PM, and the town budget preview is listed at 6:30 on April 30th, Thursday, before town meeting. Nothing else is listed up here, but I didn't expect there to be, so.
Is that all the briefings or hearings that are needed? Are the housing and planning board talking CPA as well as,
Absolutely on that.
Oh,
Do we have wording for the CPA on the warrant?
We do have, yeah, we were
Okay.
given an example.
Okay. Cool.
And that's a non-financial special article.
Well,
It's not financial this year, it's just financial for the rest of all the years, 3%.
It's a two-step process.
Oh,
well,
this is
assuming
CPA,
3%
I'm sorry.
pass.
Yeah, the CPA.
There's a different title being used. I understand.
But it would go on the ballot.
Yeah.
Community
it has to pass
preservation.
the-
The town already voted it down once, right?
Not that
I
I'm
think
aware
we
of.
never put it on. We discussed putting it on. It didn't get put on.
I'm getting old, my memory doesn't work.
I don't blame you. It is a lot.
Cover
I'm gonna
letter.
move them forward.
So what topics need to be called out in the cover letter? I think what's important here is to get the big ticket items, the large changes, the organizational changes, any changes to the format. But I don't think it's good to go too granular, because even when we make it one page, a lot of people will ask questions that are answered in it, in any case, so keep it short and sweet.
Well, I think Jeff's analysis of the growth is a good place to start, right?
yeah, I'd update the numbers just to make sure that.
Well, I actually think, yes, Jeff's analysis, but also that is part of the larger conversation of the school. Because we're gonna have to show what the growth would be depending on how the school pans out.
And we may wanna talk about what each separate piece is. I think we should, the line item changes, so things that are changing, like, well, I guess we had a line item for the assessors, this assistant assessor, but it was at $1 for a long time, so I think we should talk about why that's important. Obviously, the fire department staffing is an issue, when we have to address, the COA transportation line. What other lines, some lines appear that were, like, we made separate line items of the existing three fire department staff, but we passed it last year. Do we need to stipulate that they're now incorporated into the line item budget from that special article?
Can you write a whole paragraph?
Yeah.
About the whole thing?
Yep. Absolutely. So
What
do
exactly that looks like, I think, is up to you, but.
you want me to, I'll write about the assessor too, if you want.
Well, I think, and I'm not opposed to that, but I do think for some of the smaller items, we don't need a paragraph, because again, people aren't gonna read it, so. So,
What, do you wanna start at what,
Well,
please read
I
and
thought,
have him sign it at the
I
end?
read it, I thought it was great, because you didn't have to read the budget line by line to get where the real crux of the matter was. And
Right.
your letter really brought it up, this is what you're gonna find. So I thought that,
I think he's just saying that.
I think we say-
A $10,000 thing may not.
I think we say, you'll notice the assistant assessor line is up from $1 because we're hiring an assistant as a succession plan to replace the
Right,
current.
which is
you
all
might
it
include a
needs.
paragraph of increased staffing, general, and include fire, wherever, other places where we're at, where, beach, and any place where we're adding more people.
I think
Beach, I wouldn't even bother, because
No, I
it's
don't.
3 more hours per week.
No, that's just,
It's basically,
It's visually almost fun.
yeah, adding the newer pieces.
It would really just be the assessor.
Concom is on the cusp of saying something about the agent, but almost not even worth. Anyone's welcome on the floor to say, why are we going up more than COLA? Let's just do COLA, right? Anyone's always welcome to do that, or defund the position. But to be worth being in the cover letter.
Yep.
I'm hard pressed if it's less than $5,000 or something.
I'd have to agree.
Okay.
Is there anything else that we did, that I?
Well, if you go to special articles, those are some of the ones that need more explanation.
Okay. What were you gonna say?
I don't know if, sticking with the town clerk, because it did go up a lot, the election workers, I don't know. It's not, it doesn't quite hit your $5,000.
We have more elections this year,
Just have more
election
elections.
expenses are up.
Just trying to go through and look at.
That's not a hard and fast rule, but
Times.
I think most people pay some bit of attention to understand that fluctuates with the number of elections, but.
Who wants to write about schools? I'm doing fire department, how about you do
I do the
schools?
schools, yeah. Because I'm not gonna write it today because how tomorrow and Thursday go can greatly impact where we're at, because like I said, if the school committee takes our idea and likes it, that's a very different ballgame than if they say, no, we're pushing through a budget, and then we have to see. Our letter, as it relates to school, could quickly become outdated as well.
Yes,
Because they may say this week they wanna do a budget for annual town meeting, and the following week, they may say, they may throw up the white flag.
but you can put something in there that says, like, the situation with the schools is in flux. There have been issues with both the FY '27 budget and possibly the FY '26 budget. And, the new superintendent is still working on it. We'll be able to give you a clearer update at town meeting. Because I think the one thing we know is that we're not gonna know everything even by town meeting, I don't think.
I don't think so, not with the school budget.
Doesn't feel like it.
So like you can tell them, we know this is fake, we're not happy about it, but we can't tell you what we don't know.
So we had originally thought about having one letter with all 5 towns sign the one letter, but then,
It's so hard to get everybody's signature.
yeah,
I agree.
so we went with one letter.
I read it,
Per-
I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it already too.
So I guess to your
think
point
that's
of
smart.
knowing like what might happen tomorrow is different from the next day, they're all sort of sending them in at different times. I do know that Sheffield already sent an email like right off, as soon as that meeting was done, they went and sent an email.
Well, Sheffield's town administrator is arguably the most, has the most authority of any of the 5 towns. It may not even be close. Right.
Probably. She has a lot of authority to do stuff.
We go to special articles, because those are probably ones that, I can write something about OPEB. I think that's a great thing that we're doing.
Wait, didn't we put OPEB into the?
We put
We're
this
still paying.
benefit into the operating budget, but we're putting the OPEB trust fund
Right,
contribution.
as keep it in there, okay.
And again, that and the stabilization contribution, should probably end up in the operating budget during other years.
Yeah.
I
mean, do we have to break out the principal payment versus additional?
No,
principal?
I think we've done it
discussed
for
previous years
2
and-
years
yeah,
now.
I feel like people
Probably
are
our
now.
3rd year.
Right. I mean, I don't know what there is to say about SBA other than that's what they're assessing us, right? Like, there's not really anything I can get to say to add to this.
But it says additional up here, isn't that just scheduled?
So-
We don't have to make.
So we're making, the minimum debt payments are all in the operating budget,
Oh, okay.
So they're right here.
and both the minimum principal as well as the interest payment. And what we've done the last couple of years is separate them out because our financial people could not cut checks for the right amount for whatever reason. And this clarifies to them what the principal payment is and the interest payment. And it also is just nice to see for transparency's sake. And then we're doing another thing differently, which is any beyond minimum payment we're making, we've put to come out of free cash.
To
as
pay
a
down
special
the
article.
debt earlier. Particularly, it's kind of because we're planning that we know there's gonna be, by getting something off the debt, it prepares the way for the next thing that's gonna go on.
We've never made minimum payments since I've been on the board. We just,
But you've always used the additional out of free cash.
not always, that started about 3 years ago.
What'd
What
you
were you
do with
doing
it before?
We made beyond minimums just in the operating budget. And then we got to a point about 3 years ago. It was actually maybe one of the first times I met Roger McDonald. And
It's his idea.
it was
That
his
guy,
idea.
I heard about him.
Because we got to a point where the library, the chair of the library board was in here with a pitchfork, saying we need to make 100,000 principal payment on the library.
I wasn't standing in the way.
The numbers just weren't figuring, and we said, how can we possibly do this? We can't, year after year, make these big payments, but we did have an excess of free cash. So we said, what if we split it up like this? And actually, you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, going back in the last 10, 20 years, there often have been debt payments made as special articles, whether it was a raise and appropriate or free cash. But we've got away from that because it's part of the operating budget, something we need to pay year after
I
year.
seem to remember there were always special articles.
Yeah.
Do we want?
But they were often special articles that were still raised and appropriated.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's.
it may have
part
been
of my
because of
problem
the
with
2.5
things being
debt
special
exclusion. Because some items were debt excluded, and we haven't, I think the library is 2.5 debt excluded, but I think some of the newer loans we've taken on, like the rescue vehicle and highway truck, I don't think we debt excluded them. Could be wrong.
I don't think we did either. I don't think we've done any debt exclusion since I've been on the board.
You have to do something, I thought it was automatic.
No, you have to vote for a debt exclusion.
Who votes, the town or the select?
The town, and I forget if it's on a ballot or at town meeting or both. But we, in some ways, I think debt exclusion is for, okay, we wanna do a $2 million renovation of town hall, and we don't want that to kill our 2.5 limit. But when we're buying plow trucks and a rescue vehicle, it really should be part of our 2.5 limit, because it's kind of very much an operating.
What is debt exclusion? I know I had just been rereading this recently. But anyway. Coming back to what needs to be on there,
Lombardo Park.
Lombardo Park, and you're gonna write something about stabilization fund? Or not?
Sure, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
a sentence.
And Lombardo Park.
Yeah, I'm also writing my OPEB in school, and, you're doing fire department.
Fire and the assessor, I mean, it's only, like, do we need to say anything about elections, or is it, you think it's?
I wouldn't even bother.
Yeah.
It just,
I mean, if somebody asks, we can just say it.
yeah, it's a quick answer, there's nothing to mull over, and there's not really a lot of discretion, it just
Right.
is what it is.
Do we need to say anything about this COA?
I think so.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think it's easy enough to just say it. Is that the only, what other line items
Transportation, so.
are, yeah, that going into as a line item? What else moved?
There may be a housekeeping or two, maybe, but nothing like we did last year or the year before where we really combined a lot.
Well, library director wages moved out of library wages. And, the fire staff moved out of fire department compensation, which was a giant bucket. What else? I want to be thorough. I'm looking for all those things that decreased unexpectedly.
We were gonna do parks, but we didn't do that. And we did a lot of reorganization last year, Roger did a lot of consolidation last year.
Yeah, I don't see anything else.
If you wanna
that
call
showed a
those
big
out.
decrease.
That would be good.
I'm sorry, which ones?
The ones that you just said, the library.
The library director
fire.
and the fire shop, yeah. Definitely. Cause it's confusing when you see something, go down by,
Yeah, Mickey, that happened to Mickey last week.
Yeah, because the one director's line was above the screen and I couldn't see it.
The last thing I'll just bring up is whether or not we want the percent change on the warrant. And I have to say, I see the value in it in a way, but our warrant is not easy to look at anymore. And if you look at old warrants or other towns' warrants, I just feel like a lot of them are easier to look at because there's fewer
things to look at.
fewer things to look at. And the more data and analysis you have, the more you can read into it. But I just do wonder if we wanna show percent change for each line or just for the department. Because often the percent change, even when there is a big change, it's like 100%.
Yeah.
Right, because
Or-
it was from 500 to 1,000.
10,000%.
Right,
Yeah, so I just wonder, and I guess here, the one counter argument I'll make to myself is it really helps with COLA, because everyone that's 2.8%, you could see as 2.8%, and the highway superintendent is not. And the highway and highway foreman are not, so
Are not
maybe
what?
that's a reason enough to leave the percent in.
2.8%.
Gotcha.
Maybe that's a reason enough. Cause it
I
helps
mean,
you see what's COLA and what's more than COLA.
I mean, I feel like when I can't say that everyone looks at the numbers the same way as I do. I think I can be pretty sure that's not the case. Nevertheless, I think it provides easy flags, right? You can scan down the percentage and then you go across to see what that's that 1,100%. Wait, what was it? Right, and then it just flags me to go and look, and you can do that with a dollar increase as well, but I think you're right, it can mislead people, oh my, what do you mean this was why was there a 10% increase in veterans assessment? Oh, it's $866, but yeah, it can be misleading, but not if people are actually paying attention to all the numbers and not just one.
So what I did do too, and where a lot of these say NA on them, those are like, where it can't do the division because it's 0,
Yeah,
or it's like to the point where, like I said, it's, the town, the assistant assessor's like 10,000%.
Yeah.
So
shouldn't we delete the line 49 in the Excel sheet, the proposed full-time officer? Which
yeah,
is-
I
right,
was just gonna do that.
Here's another way, I forget, can we get rid of cents? I'm just telling you, I look at our warrant,
I'm in
We don't
favor
have
of that.
pennies anymore.
I'm in favor
I-
of that.
I-
I think now we have to vote on whether or not you round up or round down.
no, you truncate,
Just truncate?
yeah.
Or you round just the way Outlook rounds.
I wouldn't, because, well, we have to have this,
Or-
Roger, maybe we can talk about this, but
Whatever.
I'm just telling you, I look at our warrant, and I look at other towns, and I look at the way our warrant used to
Round
be.
dollars is a lot.
And
easier.
Sense is meaningless.
And it's gotten pretty darn hard to look at visually.
Yeah.
And,
It's not meaningless if the total at the bottom of the day isn't meaningless, because the cents can actually significantly influence that, I guess not significantly, but can add or not actual dollars to the total. But on any given line item, it seems kind of pointless,
But we can certainly truncate it, just don't do the sense at all, don't show it.
except I think maybe on the final one, or even. on
well,
the
if
final
you don't
one.
have it, if you don't have the cents on each line, then,
Right.
I don't know, we have
at
to
the
see
bottom.
how other towns do
At the
it.
bottom, at
But
the
you have to
end of
give
the
it to the
day,
accountant, has to put it into their
right,
records.
that's the
Well,
thing.
if we don't have the cents, then they're gone forever.
Right.
Like, it's not like the cents aren't in here, but we keep them in Vadar. But that's just a question.
The only thing that we run into that issue with, outside of expenses, so, because what happens is, because it's not like, we're not giving somebody $5, we're giving them $5 and change. So then they actually, in their division, sometimes they end up with it's like the person's making 21.213 cents. So I think you could certainly truncate it, but, or take all those expense line items and figure out how to zero them out so that they're always zero, but you're always gonna run into that problem with payroll.
Yeah, and maybe it's too late in the game this year. I think we added percent about 4 years ago. And we had it internally and then we put it on the warrant, and there's definitely merits to it. But between approved, requested dollar change and percent change, it is difficult to look at. You don't always know what you're looking at. And really, the number that we're voting on is just column E. Everything else is for your reference. And maybe it would just be a matter of column E has a slight shading to it or something, or is bolded the entire time, I don't know.
Oh, that would actually
But-
probably help.
Column E is what we're voting on, everything else is just for people's reference.
I like the idea of either bolding or shading. Because it would make it really clear which thing to look at, no matter where you are in the one.
I agree.
Vicky has a question.
Yeah, Mickey?
Or a comment. I'm one of those people who would always figure out the percentage for all the lines if I saw any difference, and I just figured that's me. But, I, really thinking about it, I think just having the percentage change for a whole department is better, because sometimes things are just moving around a little bit. And as you say, it's 10% here and this and that, but the whole department is only changed by 3%. That might be more meaningful.
But I think, I like your idea, Mickey, but one of the difficulties we have is the way our departments are set up by the state, which we don't have a say over, is multiple, sometimes in no real clear way to us, are lumped together. So if you look right now, we're looking at elections, town clerks is lumped in with technology and the tax collector. So the departments are kind of too broad and
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking of
Fire,
lumping those
police,
up, but when you get into like the police,
You get into
fire, the library, the parks,
the building.
just have
inspectors.
one total change.
but the thing is, fire, police, building, and tree warden are all in the same department. And I think I kind of
It's public safety.
talked myself out of getting rid of percent because of that COLA issue. Cause it really calls out what's COLA and what's not.
Right. Because in like the highway department, there's a number of.
Yeah, but I
races
mean, you
that are
look at
not
like with the library wages, it looks like the staff is down because we moved the
Yeah.
director out and added something in
Which is
there.
why we're actually saying something specific about that.
Okay,
Because it's a change in how the warrant's organized, so we're trying to be consistent about when there's a change in how the warrant's organized. We actually
so it'll be
tell
that,
people,
that'll
yeah.
cover the letter, all right. Everybody reads the letter, yeah,
And if they don't read it, that's on them.
that's.
I mean, honestly,
Or Thomas.
it'll be anyway. Honestly, like, I think that we can only do the best we can to prepare as many people as possible, but not everybody comes prepared. So I think we always have to assume that many of those questions will get asked at meeting, even if they've been asked at a previous meeting by different people.
There's a lot of information here. It's easy for people to fog out for 5 minutes and miss something and then come back and say, you know, I went to all those meetings and I think I heard something, but I forget what it was. And they'll ask the same question. And it showed up in the Monterey News, it showed up a lot of places, but they're still having. There's 100 people at the meeting, it's gonna happen. And understandably. It happens with us, with me. Understandable.
Anything else before we adjourn the budget?
So we need to have this stuff for next week. I can try and draft it earlier so that I can pass it on to Roger and maybe we can put together the different pieces. So when we come together next week, we have a letter to actually look at.
Yeah, because if we sign the warrant next week, we'll want the cover letter, and so I would say at the very latest, if we could get cover letter stuff to Roger by Friday.
Yeah.
It's kind of the bare
Is that
minimum.
okay?
So is it likely then that we won't have joint meetings on the 21st and the 28th of April?
So definitely not the 28th. Unless something changes.
Do we need one next week?
We need one next week.
Because we have.
And I wouldn't go and schedule a nice dinner for the 21st because
Right.
if anything goes
I'm
wrong,
gonna need it.
that's a pretty
I'm
good
gonna
backup
hold,
date.
I'm gonna keep it held, but I'm gonna let go of the 28th.
Yeah, the 28th you can go to dinner.
Or have dinner.
Have dinner. All right.
We've been eating on Spain time for so long, well, not quite, European time anyway. Spain, they literally, a restaurant in Spain, like in Barcelona, restaurants don't open their door till 9:30. And if you walk in the door at 9:30, they're like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Like you walk into a restaurant at at night and there's families with little kids. I mean, like 2,
Yes.
4, 6, they all had a
It's actually
siesta.
quite lovely.
I know,
Just
right?
sleep at
But it's a
some other
little
time.
weird, right?
All right, is the finance committee,
I think-
going to adjourn?
Sure, works for me. Roger, you good?
Yes, been good.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, I was just wondering.
And just for the record, I will walk out quietly.
I just noticed that I have a meeting.
Not the wrong day.
Well,
Okay.
I think it should be the 7th, and it says the 6th.
Yeah, it should.
Okay.
And we only need one to
Yeah,
sign.
I'm just
Fine,
trying,
yeah, you can have that copy for yourself.
Come back. Oh, you did.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks, John.
Good work. It was good to hear the rest of the budget, it's not up that much. Cause all I see is that bottom
What it
line.
is.
I know. Mm.
Getting everything done in the next 15 minutes?
I doubt it. We didn't have any, there's no minutes, I didn't see any minutes.
I didn't see anyone when I asked, it's been a couple of hours.
I know, sometimes he gets them, and there's this, all this stuff about the Beaver thing. I won't say anything.
So you don't have to see.
You're still using doctors in DC?
He's a cardiologist in DC. Every 6 months.
Well, you go back and forth, it's an excuse to see your kid
Better than
anyway.
the other option.
I know, right? Finding somebody up here is no trick.
No, it's not.
Not a good person, especially.
Except that I changed it.
Roger, were you planning on going into any of the meetings over the next day or two for the school?
I was going to the, Wednesday morning one.
The budget
Yeah,
update,
that's the one I was going to go
I
to.
wonder if Egremont and or New Marlboro have sent their letters. Probably not, because Mari, as of today, didn't know if they should sign on with everybody or sign
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
But if they could have our letter, and maybe ideally Egremont's and New Marlboro's by tomorrow morning, that would probably be best.
I'll see, I'll have to write back to Egremont, because Egremont signed the one that had all the signatures.
Yeah.
So, I didn't get back to them yet, so.
With all this.
I had a letter that I put
Oh, with
together
all this
with
area.
everybody's signatures, so
Okay.
5 towns on it, and they sent it back signed,
Okay.
so I was like, oh, okay.
But the problem is, Alford's not meeting for 2 weeks, and we asked, could you call a meeting before then, and it was like, And Alford voted to be out of the district, and they feel that they have no say whatsoever, because they're always the last town meeting.
She said that.
Well, whoever signed, even though it has the other names on it, just forward it to the school as well. They signed it, it's
Yeah.
the same letter, it just has more names on it, right?
Yeah.
That didn't get signed, they'll figure it out, they're,
Okay, Frank, there's the school letter. And then, town meeting warrant. So, unfortunately, Frank, if it had been under different circumstances, I would have tried to postpone a couple of the discussions we had last week.
That's fine.
But because we're so close to town meeting, we went ahead and we met with Peter, because we were hoping to sign the warrant today and talk about the renewable energy working group, as you saw. But we also met with the housing, representatives of the housing committee and the planning board about the CTA. And Susan and I agreed that it would be on the warrant.
Okay, that's fine.
And I don't personally support the CPA as an idea, I never have. But I think that they made a strong case for putting on the warrant, and it needs to go on a state election ballot.
Right.
So I felt like I didn't want them to miss on this opportunity because you were out of town and everything. So if you support the CPA,
I do.
then I think what would be fair would be to put it on as a 2-to-1 vote with me being against the CPA.
Okay.
The same way that as of now, the seasonal communities will go on. And I have mixed feelings on both. But I feel that they should be presented to the town meeting, but I wouldn't, I personally have reservations.
I actually think you have really good, I agree with a lot of your reservations about seasonal community.
Yeah, and for CPA, since you weren't here, my biggest reservation against CPA is everything else in our budget, or mostly everything else, is budgeted as needed to fulfill a need that's known.
Mhm.
And the CPA collects money without any particular need in mind. Not that there aren't housing and open space and historic preservation needs that exist in the town, but without a specific one. And I feel like it's backwards in that way. And my other big reservation is that the money can go to nonprofits for kind of private projects, private nonprofit projects. I mean, for public good, nonprofits have to serve a public
Right.
good, but I don't like that. So those are my reservations against CPA. What I think CPA has going for it is it's a steady source of funding for the housing committee, and I think housing is a very important issue that needs to be addressed, and I like it for that reason. And if it were a housing fund only, I may even feel differently. But for open space and historic preservation, I imagine if right now we sat down and we had a bunch of CPA money in the CP committee, the Community Preservation Committee, sat down and allocated, I assume a good amount would go toward the meeting house,
Right.
right?
Right.
And I don't like that. So,
But the town votes on that, right?
the Community Preservation Committee votes on it.
vote it separately, yeah.
Okay.
So they're a committee of people, it's not some secret hidden backdoor negotiation, but I don't think that it's fair to put it on everyone's taxes indefinitely and then to have the money in some instances go toward things like the meeting house project, which is a fine and good project, but I think that people should out of their own volition donate.
Right, right.
To choose to do that. And it's a bummer because I think for the housing side of things, it's a good, good funding mechanism, but that's just my personal opinion and why I would go down. But I do also feel strongly that they should be on the warrant and put before voters because the planning board and the housing committee recommend both and.
But the citizens, so that-
But I just wanted to update you based on our meeting last week and I don't know if we talked about CPA
you know,
before.
we have talked about CPA, I'm not to tell you on it. Because my wife knows a lot about it.
So for the town meeting warrant, we have everything financial that's in the operating budget and the special articles.
So.
And then we have seasonal communities, CPA, and
Whether or not to do tax title legal service
revolving.
revolving fund. So that's a little,
Is there any reason not to do it?
no, there's no reason not to do it. It's just that I think I said this before, I thought we would be able to just take the money that's already in our tax title line item and put it into that, and it can't be funded other than through fees collected through.
So we would establish it and
We
then
would
it
establish
would
it.
start going in.
Yeah, monies would go into it. And
Can
then
you
just-
write up a little blurb for
I'll
the
just-
letter
yeah.
that describes what that's for?
The only small hiccup on that particular item is our bylaws are with the Attorney General right now. Which Amanda got them sent out very promptly. But they have something like 60 days to respond.
Mhm.
So I think we'll Roger, just check with town council, but
Oh, in terms
It
of,
will
you don't
say
know what the
something like-
numbering's gonna be?
no, I wouldn't worry too much about not, well, kind of. Town council should be able to word it in such a way as amend the town's revolving fund bylaw to include.
Okay, right. Yeah,
And then the only other hiccup that I don't know, cause, we've done this so many times, so I don't know why I don't know it. But when you add a revolving fund, usually Article 2 is the budget, and usually Article 3 is the revolving fund limits. And I don't know if this will be included in Article 3, or will be in,
It may be its own,
it may be its own,
because it's
For this
different.
year.
it's a bylaw, but I don't know if it should also be in Article 3 to set this year's limit.
The only reason I would say it would be different is because it doesn't act the same as a regular revolving fund, which I don't know.
Oh, so it's not a,
It's not the same as like a normal revolving.
is it like the police detail revolving fund that we don't vote on the limit on?
I think it's kind of, I'm not really certain.
Alright,
But all I know is, it doesn't operate the same as a normal revolving fund. It's a totally different, GL.
so maybe it's an adoption and not a bylaw change.
Yeah.
That would be even easier.
yeah,
Find
well,
out.
And that's the warrant.
well, that's fine.
Do you wanna hear this CPA wording? Roger, do you have?
Oh, my phone, yeah, in the wrong emails. Hold on. Wait.
Yeah, I made 25%, so I figured I would turn that screen off if I'm not using it.
Let's see.
12%.
So assuming the town,
Oh, man.
the article would read, so this is assuming the town is interested in the 3B, which is the town adopts a surcharge of up to 3%, the percentage set in the motion, not the article. To see if the town, so this is the article, to see if the town of Monterey will vote to accept general laws, chapter 44B, sections 3 through 7, known as the Community Preservation Act, which establishes a special community preservation fund that may be appropriated and spent for certain open space, historic resources, and community housing purposes, and to approve under section 3B of GLC 44B, a property tax surcharge in an amount not to exceed 3% of the taxes assessed annually on real property, which will be dedicated to the fund and be imposed starting with taxes assessed for fiscal year X beginning on July. And to exempt from the surcharge any or all of the following: property owned and occupied as a domicile by a person who would qualify for low, these are things I guess you could do with them. Low or moderate income senior housing in the community as defined in the act. Class 3 commercial, class 4 industrial, real property in any year the town adopts a higher tax rate for those classes. The real estate tax on 100,000 of the assessed valuation of class 1 residential parcels. I think that's what most people vote on. The real estate tax on 100,000 of the assessed valuation of class 3 commercial and class 4 industrial parcels, or take any action relative thereto. Then there would be a motion. Move that the town of Monterey accepts general laws, chapter 44B, section 7 through 3, known as the Community Preservation Act. I guess it's all the same, right? The motion is the exact same. Oh, no. A property and community housing purpose, and to approve under section 3B of GLC 44B, a property tax surcharge that shall be in the amount of blank percent of the taxes assessed annually on real property, which will be dedicated to the fund and be imposed starting with taxes assessed for fiscal year X beginning on July 1, and to exempt from the surcharge the following: we would exempt that surcharge. And then the ballot question is simple. It's just, shall the town of Monterey accept sections 3 through 7, inclusive of chapter 44B of the general law as approved by its legislative body, a summary of which appears below.
So the one that she sent follow up to you and I, it only has the $100,000 exemption, not the other possible exemption.
Okay.
And I guess we could include the low and moderate senior housing. Not that we have any, but maybe with these funds we would build some.
I guess we'd have to make that, we have to determine what that is beforehand, or is there, I don't know.
Can you send me that email? Cause my email didn't have.
Is that for Donna?
Yeah. I was asking her things beforehand, because I was talking to, Amanda about the process for the CPA, and then I sent an email to Donna, and at the same, like, 24 hours later, Justin sent a question.
And so this, and it's the state election ballot, right? Not the local town election.
Correct, yeah, because it has to be 35 days after, is when you do it, yeah, so it's the state.
All right, well, you'll forward that to me, and then I think we should just check in with, the housing board and the planning board, to see if they wanted any of the other exemptions. Beaver, Deceiver. I thought Mike was gonna be here, but I might have,
Hasn't been anybody there.
misspoken. But Roger was at the meeting, so we
So I
can always
went out to the, yeah, I went out to the lake, we went out to the Brewer Pond, the dam, and at the spillway. And the company that they had, Beaver Solutions, basically what they do is, in our case there, is they would put a, they would really just put another gate, like right now there's gates on the side, they would effectively put more gates around it. And then out in the lake, they would just run a pipe out of the lake and bring the water in from out there. It's really just pretty simple. I don't necessarily, I don't know if we need it, to be quite honest. I think there's other simpler things we could do that would help, but I guess the biggest problem this would help is things going into the pipe, because that's where they really block things up. So.
They blocked the pipe, but they also blocked the spillway.
They do. I think what that requires us to do though is have a management plan for it. Just clean it out. But I think there's
You
actually,
mentioned maybe putting the existing gates, putting more gates that go up higher.
so yeah, it's really, they
So
go
they
out.
can get inside.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we need to do is actually block off the bottom of the gate that's there. Those gates are there, because that's what's happening, is they're getting in underneath. But it's really just an additional gates that go around and go out. They don't really go out that far. They go out as far as where the pipe, the intake pipe is. And then what they also are thinking of doing is running another pipe out into the lake where that collects water too and brings it in that way, so.
Aren't they just gonna go out even further and?
Well,
block
because
it
it's-
off and it's impossible to get to?
I think because it's submerged, it doesn't make the sound that brings the beaver in.
The existing one's submerged too.
Well, I think what happens is because the water rises up above and then falls in to the, and then also they hear the sound of the water where the gate is coming out, it just draws them in.
Okay.
And they keep just coming, so, I mean, it's I can't remember the total, it's about $8,000 or something, $7,000.
It does also say that there's a maintenance guarantee,
Yeah,
and if there's a problem, they will fix it at no charge or refund double the maintenance fee.
yeah, so there's some stuff that they do that's like in that stuff, which is positive, but I don't know.
Rich, Sean?
So is the dam engineer involved in this discussion?
No,
They need to be.
no,
That's public safety hazard up there with the beavers floating around with that dam structure.
Yeah.
That dam's built out of sand, and typically the beavers like to let, they'll dig in the sand, so.
he did say that.
The town as a whole has a very big problem when the beavers start digging in the dam, so.
Yeah, he did say that they actually have to bury the gate down. They have to bury it down and sometimes put even a concrete pad, they bury it down in there, because he said if they don't do that, they'll just dig underneath
Is it?
and come right up,
Oh, really?
so. I think there's other, again, I'm just
But I will
being.
say, so last summer,
So,
I noticed the level of the lake was high.
yeah.
And I texted Mike Jermaine, and he said, oh, it's rained a lot, and it didn't rain that much. And it was 2 months. It was high. And granted, we didn't have a highway superintendent at the time, but then we noticed and let it go and caused $50,000 of damage downstream, so I think, what's the plan?
Well, we have to get better at, maintenance. I have to talk to, and I've talked to Alan about this and having regular maintenance, at the weekly maintenance at the spillway and remove the debris that they pile on top. I think to fix that, I don't know, do you know when that gate, those grates were put in there? Was that original? That's what they originally put in there?
Yeah, we replaced them, but
Yeah.
it's put back just as it was originally built.
I think, and I think if we were able to square off, because right now it's just wide open. And I think if we were able to square off the bottoms, we would alleviate a lot of the problems with the top
You
of
don't
the
think they're
spillway.
just gonna dig under the, like, big.
No, I think they're going to, because it's all one big box, right? It's all just one big box. I think they're gonna just keep stuffing stuff in the pipe. I don't know what you think.
That's where the engineer needs to be involved to do
Yeah.
the calculations, so as the beavers plug it up,
Yeah.
the water has to get in there some way, somehow.
Yeah.
What's there was what they calculated, obviously it was without beavers at the time, but, I highly advise
Yeah,
you have
I'll talk to
a
GZ.
professional
Yeah.
involved with figuring this out.
Yeah.
You can go up there with the best intentions and they're gonna come in for the inspection, or we're gonna have a hurricane come in and it's gonna go over the spillway and have, center town left and then we go, well, why'd that happen? They put in a beaver deceiver, the water couldn't get into the structure, so, yeah. It's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I'll
I'm
get
very careful with.
I'll take this and send it to GZA, that's a good idea, I'll do that. But I appreciate what, Mike and the Lake Garfield committee are doing, but I didn't know, like I said, it's $7,000.
well, there's a grant,
Is that what they're going for?
yeah,
The Beaver-
so we wouldn't need $7,000, and maybe the grant could fund,
The engineer.
Oh, that's right,
That's
I know what you're talking
but something else, but, if we're going to rely on a weekly check or a daily check, or whatever it may be with, the highway department, maybe that's a one-off, because we didn't have a highway superintendent and we were short-staffed.
I think it was a one-off, because they used to do it, actually. I talked to the staff at the time. And they were doing it on a much more regular basis the previous year. So,
Then maybe we just say that, but we also have so much going on up there at the dam, because the dam's leaking. And
It always has, it's a very big number to fix that problem.
Yeah.
It leaks so minimally, I personally don't see an issue with it, but,
yeah, we were working on a grant, we just didn't have the time to.
the dam and seawall.
Yeah, it was, we were gonna go to GZA, GZA was gonna charge us $5,600 to help us. So, we do have to get some engineering, we're gonna need their help in some form or fashion, but I think we just have to be a little more prepared for it. We were a little surprised when they're like, oh yeah, we'll help you for $5,600, and we're like, oh, well, okay.
Maybe if they really do fix it, we also potentially, depending on how the Conservation Commission permits go in the next year or two, talk about automating it. And maybe it would be within the scope of if we're gonna go up there and spend all this money, maybe it would be worth making it more beaver proof in and of itself, I don't know, but. So potentially, we don't even.
It's hard for me to really say whether this is positive or negative, because I don't, except for last year opening and closing the dam, I don't really know that much about the dam and the spillway, and I mean, that was pretty much the purview of the highway department. to come up and make that kind of recommendation. And it's, you know, I think if Alan, given some time, Alan becomes more familiar with it and working with Mike Jermaine to try and better understand what's going on up there, we might be able to come to a decision, but I think it's hard right now. I don't know. I don't know that much about it.
Speaking of Alan, but where's the on hiring for Ryan?
We had a couple of candidates,
Uh,
but, one candidate, he looked good. He actually just went back and got more money after we interviewed him.
There's a level.
Yeah, and a couple other candidates, the money's just, it's just not right there. They were making a little bit more. So we were hoping maybe they would come on. So we're just gonna kind of go around with it again.
Right.
I think because we're coming into the summer season, we have a little bit of, you know, we have a little bit of relief on not having to work 70, 80, 90 hours a week like they have been working over the past, or over the pay period. So I'm gonna put it out again and see if we can find some people.
So what's our max, like 30 an hour?
It's 28 is what we put in there. So,
What's in our budget?
the budget is right around 30, I think it was, or a little bit less than that.
Because you had people come in CDLs and they were making more money somewhere else,
Yes.
probably, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
So right now, and, you know, so the highway, I think it was 6, I forget what the rate is, I'd have to double check and look, but that rate is that dollar value. For, cause it went up for.
It looks like 28.38,
Or somewhere around there, yeah.
and then plus COLA, we'll bring it up. So it could be hard to find someone with a CDL that's willing to work for $28.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Seems to be going rate is $30 starting. I'm hearing it everywhere.
Yep.
And if it's not, they're aiming for it in the future.
yeah.
And a shortage of
And then there's
certified
no-
drivers, they can get
I mean, 63,640 is $30 an hour, because that's what Donnie Peck was making at the time when he started. So I think that's what that is.
With COLA, I had that budget at 29.18,
Where's that?
it. 69, what?
per hour.
Oh, the 6931.
Yeah.
That's what you mean? Yeah. That's what I mean, that's 63,640 right here.
Where are we looking?
So right here.
Oh, right there, okay.
Yeah, that 63,640 is $30 an hour.
Well, do we wanna set highway, with the highway 4?
It's a highway 4.
And it's currently
Or highway 3, I'm sorry,
69.31.
highway-
Is it that, it's 69.31?
Yes, yep.
So do we wanna raise that to 63,640? To allow us to hire a CDL driver? I'm not
No, I
saying
think
I'm
it's too late in the process.
But
It's
we
a
may, but
thought.
we may be facing leaving that slot empty if we can't hire it.
I think it's more likely to hire someone who doesn't have their
CDL.
But you're gonna pay that person to get the CDL.
My
You can
number-
Pay it now, pay it later.
2,100. Are you doing 52.5 weeks or 52.2?
52.2.
Times 40 times 30 is 62,640 is what I have for making $30 per hour for 52.2 weeks.
62, I have 62,640, right, is that what you have?
Yeah.
So,
So maybe that is worth doing, and then we can just say we can hire someone at 30 an hour, and it's just that mental difference.
so what was that, change it to 6?
Not without the finance committee here, and maybe not next week while we sign the warrant, so I don't know how exactly we handle that. It's a small amount of money, but it's not the right thing to do. Oh, by the way, finance committee,
Right.
we gave this vacant position a raise while you weren't here.
Of course, you could, figure out when the proper time is to hire somebody to pay them.
What's that?
Yeah, you
just
did it,
Oh, you just.
you wait July, and
Yeah,
August,
one
you have
week.
enough.
You wait
You
2
wait
months.
1 week. I mean, we're talking a shortage of just so 1,500, of a paycheck.
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah,
So-
if you waited 1 month, you'd have enough money to pay somebody $30 an hour.
Or you hire him hoping you'll be able to give him.
Yeah, we're $1,700 short. Okay. Are we, right along to town administrator?
Okay.
I don't have any. Well, just a reminder that, the beginning of May, we're closing Sandusfield Road for 4 to 6 weeks. And, the registrars are set to meet this Saturday at 10 o'clock, but it's not on the calendar yet. But, I still have a couple things, or one more thing to do.
Is that just like a public hearing on that?
It's a little more formal.
It
It is a hearing. Yeah, it's a little more formal. Because you know, we're talking about
Ban,
the Ben
ban on the
and
ballot?
the complaints, if we're, complaints the right word, but concerns.
Yeah, it's a resident complaint and there's a formal hearing.
Yeah.
It's not like everyone go and share your 2 cents. The registrars need to make a decision.
Yep.
And the town clerk is in charge of the registrars and.
Yeah, and the people who brought the complaint have to basically, move forward with it, say this is why we think it should, the registration should be removed, so. And then he has the opportunity to put forward his, so, yeah, it was pretty formal. There's a summons, I think, to send a summons, it's pretty formal.
The state's, I read a little bit, the state's got all these rules for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes
How does
sense.
this summons get delivered?
I have to call, a local, I probably will end up calling the Middlesex Sheriff's Department, they have a service for that. So,
Can't be the Berkshire County Sheriff's Office.
well, they would have to drive all the way over to his house to submit it. 'Cause
During the week?
Yes. Yeah, so I have to get this done. It has to be submitted, 48 hours, minimum 48 hours in advance, which is Thursday.
What else do we have?
I apologize, I don't have minutes at this point. I apologize. Caught up in some other stuff.
Any other business?
I don't think so. I don't have anything. You anyway. That's it. Did you have something you wanted to say?
No.
Okay.
Just hanging out.
I was glad you were here for the Beaver thing though.
Thanks.
That was, you know.
I saw that on the agenda, so I figured.
Oh, good.
Okay. So,
The dam is not something to screw with up there. It's
No.
Like I said,
I like conduct.
I don't know enough about it to dive into it.
as it were.
I read your article online about the fire, you know. and
The Monterey News.
Yeah, how many, well, the question I had was about the numbers that you had.
Hold on, let me get that article so I'll know what you're talking about.
I just had, you know, Chris gave me the fourth quarter of the year. And, you know, and the transparency issue is, it didn't point out that we've done significant amount of calls to Otis this year.
So she gave me a pretty short word limit. So I had to cut a bunch of stuff out of there, but, I have a more extensive, I didn't share this with you because I was still working on it,
Okay.
but I'm happy to do that. So I actually, all of it, we have answers, like Roger's answering a bunch of this stuff.
Yeah,
We're trying to do it, I'm writing up answers for me because I feel like even though we're giving them town answers, I feel like I wanna be able to answer any
Right.
question anybody asks.
yeah, because here's the numbers like for the fourth quarter with Chris gave me the runs for the fourth quarter.
Mhm.
You know, and he also
Fourth
had,
quarter of
2025, and he had the
Calendar.
the first 8 months of the year of 2025. I was just gonna say, I didn't, you know, I was gonna share them with you because I've gotten questions about it.
Mhm.
And then when I read the article, the little blurb up top, you know, and the thought of transparency, you know, it's different than it was in 2024.
What's different?
The number of times we've gone to Otis.
So the thing in that article,
Uh-huh.
is Monterey only calls,
Yeah.
and then mutual aid calls.
Oh, right.
Right, so it's a different count than the other count, but I do now have an answer to the other part. So how many calls broken down by type this was the question that was asked.
I
Fire
didn't
department.
know, I wasn't looking at that. I just, are you talking about that concern?
Well, you're saying to the calls to Otis.
Yeah. I
Oh,
just.
Yes, in their letter, they wanted it
Oh, I
broken
didn't,
out,
I
so I
have to be
have it
honest,
broken
I
out.
looked at that, I haven't.
Okay.
because of
But I have it
situation,
broken
I
out,
wrote
so
it.
the calls above
I
are
looked at your
Monterey,
Monterey letter, or your
Okay,
Monterey
right.
article.
so the calls in Monterey and the calls to mutual aid, although it looks like that mutual aid call was short by 5.
Yeah, but what do you consider Otis? Is Otis a mutual aid call?
No, we were taught, that's auto. So there's two different, mutual aid is like, you can explain it.
Well, I understand what mutual aid
But
is.
mutual aid is when there's a response to an actual incident,
Right, right.
right? So the calls that you're talking about for Otis are not mutual aid calls, it's not 911 dispatch, the tones are going out for Otis, and we were going, right?
But we should show that number.
Well, yes, do you want
I
to
know
know
the
the
number.
number? Like 4 times.
It's everything but September.
Well, okay, so the number I have is how many calls broken down by type has the fire department made to Otis through this arrangement? And what percentage of total calls were to Otis? So there were 69 EMS calls, 33 fire calls for a total of 102. And that comes up to about 34.1% of total calls answered by an MFD. And I went on to actually calculate an estimate of what the cost was to
Mhm.
Monterey. And basically, since we're already paying staff and we're already paying for the engines, I calculated it as gas. I mean, I suppose we could add in, if you wanna get a more complicated formula, wear and tear on vehicles or what have you, but a fuel cost based on our most recent fuel bill for diesel and for gas, and the vehicles that were used a certain number of times with the average
Mhm.
number of gallons used per one of those trips was $995.84
Mhm. Okay,
for the calendar year.
that's the spreadsheet you sent out.
Yes, it's on there, but this is,
Okay,
I'm reading
I
from the
remember
letter.
seeing it. Okay,
So, I personally feel like that opportunity cost to see if the two departments could work together productively is pretty well worth it. What I don't yet have is the number of trips here, because the 7 number you got was the number of actual transports they did.
yeah, but,
Which is not the same as the number of times they were here by a significant number.
what she wrote was that 3 for primary is for medical. She did, she said the ambulance responded to roughly 12 calls, fire alarm, car accidents where, I say roughly because there were not always logged so many and they have slipped through the cracks. That's
So-
her email.
Well, hopefully she's gonna try and get a better number for us for Thursday, because I explained what the issue is. And I'm not happy with the record keeping either,
Mhm.
but obviously, if we were going to enter a joint services agreement, the record keeping would have to change.
Yeah, I thought that everybody was required under state on that.
I think like the ambulance, if they're coming as ambulance, they're only required to record it if they transport, because otherwise if there's no patient contact, it's not just transport, it's patient contact.
Yeah, EMS transports have to be legally reported and structure fires.
Mhm.
So if we go to your house first, fire alarm,
Yeah.
technically, we don't have to report that.
Mhm.
We do,
Mhm.
just for everybody's knowledge, and it's just.
No, I think it's good, so that
Clear, but-
if you take a look at the percentage of false alarms you responded, it's a double-digit number.
So they don't have to respond if it's a refusal to transport, technically. So if you come to my accident and I'm like, I don't wanna go in the ambulance, you don't really have to.
They would still do a report on that.
Yeah.
But,
You want it for liability.
yeah, liability, exactly. Well, where do I wanna go with this? Yeah, there's certain things that don't have to be reported. And them coming here with their ambulance just as a manpower
Mhm.
response, that's not a reportable call.
And if they come because we have a structure fire and they come with the ambulance and they're coming in case somebody either in the building or one of the firefighters needs, because I know he's called for that, they might not record it because they never do, what if they don't have patient contact? They were sitting there in case they were needed.
Yeah. And
But-
like the other morning down here at 340 Main Road, they were all called. We have to do the report for that, that's the fire department. It's up to the other towns whether they want to input it into their system or not. Some will, some won't.
Yeah.
So that's why we have lax records.
But I don't think
We
that-
on our side are now trying to keep better track of it. I don't think we're gonna get it 100% because we cancel them early on. And we haven't heard that they're actually responding, so we don't actually have a connection. We didn't realize that they were coming to us, but we canceled them just to cancel them if they were on the road, so. That's where it's a little murky on our side. We're trying to be better about it and make sure it's in our record.
I mean, the records that Chris gave me for the fourth quarter were really good. I mean, it was a different worksheet than the first 8 months, but I guess it's the new software.
We're having issues with the new
Yeah,
software,
you mentioned that.
but it is, text Susan yesterday, I think. I put in I searched something and I pulled up a record and it was, I knew it wasn't right just looking at it.
Right.
Gave it 15 minutes and the program, I reran it and the numbers look more like they should be, so.
Gotta love it when it gives you different answers.
But they are working at getting it straightened out. And all the platforms are having some of the similar issues. So, as much as I'd like to jump ship from them right now, we just gotta wait it out.
Did you have any other questions?
No, I saw it, and it just, I think of transparency. I didn't read that, well, I did read it, but that to whom or whatever concerned citizens or whatever it was.
Well,
I was.
Yeah, I'm working on that right now.
I was working, but I saw your initial response from last Tuesday. I wrote the original letter on that phone.
but I sort of feel like I legitimately, I've always wanted to be able to answer anybody's question. Like, so if somebody asks a question, I'm gonna prepare an answer, and if I think that enough people are interested in the answer to that, I will share it at the meeting. I shared the ones that I could fit in in the article, but I like, I had a whole thing about why the numbers sometimes look high, but I cut it out because there's,
That's all I know.
because a lot of people don't even understand that there's additional hours, it's not 40 hours.
I know.
Right,
I
and-
understand that.
Yeah, but-
It's comparing apples and oranges.
But it's been interesting trying to get information out of the other towns,
Well, it is.
which I don't, technically I didn't have to do for that, but I want it out.
Mhm.
It's a lot of work to generate all this information. I get it, why people want it, but it's a lot of work to, especially with a system that's not completely functioning.
Someone whose search feature no longer works usefully, I get it. I did, by the way, also submit a request, as I said, I think I might have emailed you this, I did submit request to Don W. Tryon, who's the
Yeah,
executive
for the-
director of State 911, to ask for numbers for the other towns. He wrote back the next day saying, do you want total calls, do you want me to break it out EMS and fire, but there might be overlap, and I said, well, if you've got total calls and EMS fire, then by deduction, I can say which ones were both, right?
Sort of.
And that would be really useful. I haven't gotten the answer back yet, but I presume we'll get it eventually.
Okay.
Because one of the things that was an issue for me with Sandersville was them saying they had 470 calls and the number we had from state 911 was 170. And yes, I'm perfectly willing to accept that they might have had transports, but 300?
I don't know. I'm not-
I don't know, that seemed really unlikely to me. And so, you know, I'm just saying, like, I wanted an unimpeachable source.
Mhm.
Is that necessarily every call? I don't know, maybe not. But
Mhm.
at least it's the same source for
Mhm.
everybody.
Right.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
We'll call a vote.
yes.
Yes.
Yes, it's unanimous, vote to adjourn at 7:56 PM.
Always good to-